Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Stories from Creators, and I got another gaming topic for you guys on video game preservation and piracy this time. And I want to start this video off by saying there are some things with the YouTuber that I'm going to be covering today I do agree with him. Not many things, but I do agree with him on some things. I would say piracy is justifiable for many older games, like games that aren't even available retail. You got to pay some scalper like a ridiculous price, like $3,000 to get, like games like that, like GameCube games, Nintendo DS, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. The sites that got pulled were Nintendo Switch, PS4, and sites like that. Needless to say, older sites that have older ROMs, like Vemlayer, is still available, which I think is fine. Basically, guys, don't know what I'm talking about today. Yesterday, the FBI made a tweet saying today went out to the seizure and dismantlement of several illegal video game marketplaces from February to May of this year. There are approximately 3.2 million illegal downloads, and these downloads caused an estimated loss of $170 million for gaming companies, essentially. And a lot of people aren't happy about it. A lot of people are saying if buying a game doesn't mean owning it, then piracy isn't theft, which, I mean, times change. Like it says right there, license. This is a license. You are basically signing a contract saying, I'm paying for a license to a game. So I mean, times change. Like just because of that, I feel like this is all stupid. There's a lot of people on Twitter complaining about it. So we got this video here by Mr. Fat Pepper 2, who him and two other YouTubers are the only ones I've seen covering this topic. But his video is just so, like, there's so many bad points to it that I just do not agree with, and I wanted to cover it today.
Scheme caused an estimated $170 million in losses to game developers, publishers, affecting not only large companies, but also individual developers who invest years in creating games. Now let's go ahead and just get this out of the way. This isn't about the smaller creators. I think we all know nobody gives a shit about indie devs, alright? I mean, we do, we care because we play their games and buy their games, but the reason why the FBI is doing this isn't because somebody is, pirating a copy of Nuclear Throne off of Steam. No, it's because they're downloading ROMs of Super Mario Odyssey, all right? That's why this is happening. It's not happening because of the smaller indie developers. Now, am I saying indie developers do not get affected by piracy? Of course not. It does happen. It does affect them. In fact, in a lot of ways, it can affect those mom and pop indie game developers a lot more financially than a bigger company, right? But if it was just the mom and pop shops, right? If it was just the smaller developers who were getting targeted on these websites, the FBI wouldn't give a shit.
So, he claimed at the beginning of it that, the FBI isn't doing this for smaller developers, like indie developers. They're doing it for the big corporations. They're doing it for people like pirating Super Mario Odyssey, which, again, I say that Super Mario Odyssey is still widely available. It's still I would consider it a modern game still. Like, sure, it came out a long time ago, but you could still go out and go buy Super Mario Odyssey for a pretty good price, like $50, $40, or whatever. Again, if it was an older game, like a Lost Atari 2600 game, you can't find it anywhere else, that's when I would say piracy is fine. Anyways, he's saying it's because, FBI, they're doing it for the bigger companies, not the smaller companies, not the little guy. And yeah, I'll agree with him on that. In this clip, he says, running with scissors told their players to pirate their games and everything. Which, fine, if a company wants to tell people to pirate the games, then why don't they just make the game for free? Or why don't they release an early access version and then have a paid version that's also available? Why does it have to be piracy? Or College Football 26 just came out. I love playing college football. I haven't brought it yet, but EA offers you a 10-hour free trial run if you have EA Play or Game Pass, which I have. So I've been playing college football, to get a feel if I like it. Like, that's what companies should do, I feel like, instead of just saying straight up, hey, go pirate my game.
Go ahead and buy it. If you want to support us that way, if you enjoy it, go ahead. If you can afford it, but if you can't, pirate it. Running with Scissors, the people that made the Postal games, they've had some pretty good reactions to this. If you follow them on Twitter, I'll put up some pictures. But they've been notorious for literally saying it's like, hey, yeah, pirate our games. If you can't afford them, if you live in a country where you literally get paid dirt and you can barely feed your families or barely take care of yourself, go ahead and pirate the game. Even if you live in America and if you can barely take care of yourself and afford to take care of yourself, go ahead and pirate. There was that one game developer, it was an indie game developer, who made a tweet that went super viral like last year. It talked about how art shouldn't exist for just those who can afford it. I'm trying to quote it off of memory, but that's what he said. He said, art shouldn't just exist for those who can afford it. It should be for everybody, all right? And a lot of indie developers have said, yeah, go ahead, pirate our games. If you can't afford this, if you can't pay for this stuff, do it. And the reason why I'm saying this over and over is because you notice how the FBI and a lot of these people that have been kind of defending what's been going on, they're using indie developers and smaller developers as like a Trojan horse to make you actually give a shit about what they're doing and support what they're doing. Nobody cares if Nintendo loses money, unless you're like one of those fucking freaks that just worships Nintendo and you bought a Nintendo Switch 2 day one so you could play Super Mario Kart and, you'd suck off Mario. Like, those people, they're crazy. We all get it. I mean, we all like Mario games. We all like Super Smash Bros. Like, I'm not going to say I don't enjoy those games. I love those games, but I don't worship Nintendo. But there are people who do. But that's not most people. Most people do not care if these big companies lose money. These companies are worth billions of dollars. They're losing enough money on their own. Sony made Concord, all right? We don't even have to talk about Concord, okay? They lose enough money on their own, way more. So if the FBI wants to protect these companies from losing money, they should stop them from making shitty video games. How about that?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember every single gaming channel coming out complaining about the Switch 2, and then every single gaming channel going day one, most of them going on midnight releases, buying the Switch 2, and justifying it with, I'm a gaming review channel, so I'm here just to review it for you guys. Even though they told their viewers to boycott it, but they bought it themselves. So, you see what I mean? Like, double standard there. And people like to complain about developers and how gaming companies are laying off a lot of developers. Well, when you pirate a game, a modern game, which Mario Odyssey, Mario games, all the sites that got pulled were PS4 ROM sites, Nintendo Switch sites. All the sites that got pulled were modern gaming sites, not older ones like Lair, for example. So when you pirate a game, the company, why would the company make another one of that if you're just gonna pirate it? So that means, the company doesn't get paid, which means the producers don't get paid, and the producers pay the developers, so the developers don't get paid. And since the company has a loss, then that just means they have to fire more developers. So they say it's for developers. They care about developers so much, but yet they don't want the developers to get paid or anything, or get future. And some developers, yeah, sure, they may not make commission on a video game, but they may be on a project or a team. And if that game sells well, they'll be brought back into that team to work on a sequel to that game. Well, same argument. If you pirate the game and the sequel doesn't get made, they're not going to hire those developers back. They're going to fire them, get them out of there. And then another argument he said was, no one cares if big companies lose money because they're worth billions and they're already losing enough money on their own. Well, I have a business endorsement, and I'm not trying to sit all in my high mighty chair like I know everything about business. Like, no, I don't. But I do want to pursue business in college and everything. But I'm pretty sure Business 101 is trying to minimize your loss of money. So I feel like that, yeah, companies don't want to lose money. And, he mentioned Sony losing $500 million on Concord. Yeah, Sony doesn't want to lose $500 million on Concord. So, when pirating sites come about and people are pirating their games, that kind of hurts them even more on top of them losing money on Concord.
All right, so first of all, the economic barrier. Like I said earlier, that one fire tweet, art should not exist for those who can only afford it. It should be for everybody. There are a lot of people who live in countries where a modern AAA video game, it just is too much. Like, the amount of money that they charge, even if it's in their currency, is like the equivalent to a month's rent. Imagine instead of paying your rent for your apartment or your utility bills or your water bill or being able to afford groceries, you could either buy food or you could play the newest, shittiest AAA experience game. And honestly, they're probably not even downloading AAA video games that are brand new, because a lot of this stuff is PS4 titles. All right? These are old games, bro, that PlayStation doesn't even make money on, or they probably don't even sell well, or big titles like that. But still, they'll charge full price for some of these games, or even $40, $50. And even in the different currencies, it's still just not doable. And also, another big reason why these companies don't like these things is because of stuff like PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass. Well, you could play these games for free if you bought our subscription service. These people aren't buying our subscription service. You're not supposed to be able to play this game just whenever you want. You're supposed to pay for the subscription service so you can stream it. It's like, why are you... That's another reason why they're mad, because it undermines their subscription revenue, which is shitty. I hate the fact that all these companies are going into a subscription model, but that's another reason why these companies don't like people pirating their games. And it's like, life sucks right now. It's shitty for a lot of people. So playing a video game, having a little escapism, that can go a long way, man. That can really make life worth living. Do you know how many people choose to not off themselves because they're like, wow, man, there's a new game coming out. I don't have to do it just yet. You would be surprised how many people are kind of in that boat. So money's tough. So the fact that this is cutting a lot of people out of the conversation and removing them from being able to experience these titles and play these games. And like I said, a lot of these games are old, right? They're not newer titles. It's making it less safe for people all around who are just going to pirate video games. They're going to do it either way, but now you're forcing them to go onto a side of the internet that's even more dangerous, more sketchy, where there's risk of getting malware, data theft, scams, potentially harming vulnerable users who lack the technical knowledge to navigate these spaces safely, which could be a kid. It could be a 12-year-old Timmy, right? That just his family just don't got money for that game. He don't got money for that game. And he's like, oh, I got to download the Tor browser. I don't know what that is, but it's got a picture of an onion. And next thing you know, it's like mommy and daddy's credit card information, because it's on the computer, gets fucking stolen. And his family gets basically just nuked. Like their credit, everything gets, because little Timmy wanted to do a video game. And I know the FBI, they're going to be like, well, it's little Timmy's fault. I mean, yeah, but it's also your fault because you forced little Timmy, you pushed him in the corner. All right, you forced little Timmy to have to take matters into his own hands and download a Tor browser and get malware. All right, that's your fault, okay? Little Timmy doesn't know what that is.
And then this is one of the things that I just hate. A lot of people would agree with this. I would not. He says video games should be for everyone. And some people can't afford it because they need to buy groceries, they need to buy food, they need to pay utilities, bills, and everything. Video games are not for everybody. If you are suffering or trying to make a conscious call between playing Super Mario Kart and if you buy that, it breaks your bank and you can't even pay bills or utilities, gaming is not for you. Sorry, but it's just not. You shouldn't be playing video games. You should be locking down, trying to make more money, trying to save up if you can, investing money, trying to get out of living paycheck to paycheck. However small bit helps you. Trying to do whatever, hustle around, do little things, sell some stuff around your house, do other things to make money and make it to where you can play gaming. Gaming is not for everybody. It is a luxury now. It's a luxury. You have to pay money for it, just like everything else, just like going to a fancy restaurant. It's a luxury, but it's not for everybody. It shouldn't be for everybody either. And, one game I really wanted when I was younger, or not really younger, but a few years ago, was Resident Evil Village. I really wanted this game. I begged my parents at the time to get it for me when I was a little bit young. I was a little bit younger then, and I really wanted to buy this game, but they just told me, like, hey, we're not going to be able to just buy this game for you. So what did I do? I went out, I worked, I did little chores around the house and chores around for people around the neighborhood and stuff. I got a job, and I earned money, and I bought the game myself. And since I had that job, I brought other games after that, because I was able to buy games for myself, because I was in a position to buy games. And then he goes on to say, so since the game is old, you should pirate it, and that, you know, the companies will be like, oh, you could play with our subscription service. Well, the subscription service is he says the subscription services are crap. Subscription services are like $10, $7. Game Pass is expensive. It's like $15. PlayStation Plus is like $20. But still, that's an affordable way to play video games legitimately and legally, and we're complaining about that? Like, again, if you can't afford a $20 a month subscription to play video games, or a $15 a month subscription to play video games, you shouldn't be playing video games. You should be locking down on money. Here he says a lot of people don't off themselves because they have to pirate. They can pirate a new game and they can play the new game. And honestly, you know, as screwed up as this sounds, if you're just existing because the new freaking Mario game came out or the new update on Fortnite came out, that's a pretty bad existence. And you should, yeah. In Minecraft, obviously, I'm not gonna say it for YouTube terms, but in Minecraft, obviously, that's, yeah, don't know. Here he puts on an example. He says Timmy can't afford a game, so he steals his parents' credit card, and he gets malware from downloading a pirated game, and then his parents get money taken out of their pockets, and their cards get nuked, and they're broke. And he said, and the FBI will say it's Timmy's fault, and then he says, yeah, but it's also your fault because you forced Timmy to have to take it into his own hands. Well, like I just said, for example, of Resident Evil, Timmy should ask his parents what he can do to, you know, earn some extra money, you know, like do some chores, work towards that game. Like, if it really means a lot, to you, you will work towards it and stop at nothing. You know, if you ever heard the saying, where there's a will, there's a way, Timmy should have the will to work his way to get that game if he really wants. Now, here's a point I do agree with him on. Piracy, you know, a lot of games, a lot of movies are getting censored nowadays. You know, that sometimes they turn down the gore or something in a movie, or sometimes they'll bleep a cuss word or a slur in an old movie. I'll agree with him on that. Preservation for older stuff is good for stuff like that, like, you know, saving stuff so that way stuff isn't censored. I'll agree with him on that point. And this is another point I agree with him on. He said he thinks companies won't make any money on older video games, which, yeah, it's kind of weird to me because when you think about it, I feel like Nintendo, if they sold old GameCube games, or if they sold old DS games, or if they sold old 64 games, they would make bank off that stuff. I feel like people, if they just had a site where you could go and you could just order older N64 games, which sure they're available on cloud platforms, but those are online. But if they just had a site, I feel like Nintendo would make bank off of selling their older games. And then here he showed a quote tweet or a community notes where it said, "Money that that one does not make does not equate to a loss." And it's like, well, if those people were really interested in that game, I feel like, you know, they would buy that game. So I would go as far to say that gaming companies probably lost more than 170 million on games. I would probably say they've lost maybe $1 billion on games, to be honest with you. I don't know. But yeah, that's so after that he just goes on to talk about stop killing games and everything. And you guys, if you want to have my opinion on stop killing games, I got 2 videos up on the channel. The last 2 videos have been about stop killing games. You can check them out. But yeah, I mean, I usually don't go after creators. I just had to make a video on this topic and on this guy. I just thought the points were very stupid and very dumb. And yeah, I don't know. I'll probably get a lot of hate for this video. A lot of people are on but the piracy side. We can go into some tweets here that I have pulled up on Twitter. So here, one guy I bookmarked, he replied to a tweet saying, "If buying a video game isn't owning it, then pirating isn't stealing." And someone replied saying, "If buying a movie ticket doesn't mean you own the film, paying for software only gives you limited time access under a license. If you don't pay, you don't get access. Simple." Which I agree with. We pay for movie tickets and we watch movies for a short amount of time. I just went to go see Mission Impossible the other day, and my parents went to go see the new F1 movie for a moment. And, you know, they still might buy the DVD or something. Who knows? And here he got into an argument with this person. Yes, quiet, and let's be clear. To duplicate a thing is not to steal it. It may fall under other categories of improperty, but theft is not. If I duplicate your spoon, you'd remain in possession of your original spoon. Nothing has taken from you, therefore no theft occurred. So, like, let's say I take a video game. I take my physical copy of Mario Kart 8, and I take it to my friend's house and say, "Here, you could take this for a week." That's one person that has access to that one video game. These ROM sites got shut down because they were giving everyone across the world access to all the Nintendo games, all the PlayStation 4 games. That is completely different from what he was describing. And this is another tweet that I saw. You deprived the creator and the retailer profits that would have been made if you had purchased it legally. That constitutes a loss. People who produce the games deserve to be paid for it. No? And a lot of people are saying they get paid while it's getting made. Yeah, but again, if there's a sequel or something and the game succeeds, then they're gonna bring that team back to make another game. They're gonna try to keep that same team. You guys know Halo failed because, you know, people say 343 isn't what Halo used to be, which is what under Bungie, what Halo used to be under. People say the old God of War is better than the new one, which is just a walking sim, because again, new team. So they're gonna bring the old team back to work on the new game, on the sequel. But if it gets pirated, what's the point? Because it's just gonna be pirated, and there's no point in working on a sequel. But yeah, that's basically it for this video, guys. Again, I'm probably gonna get hate for it. I will stand by everything I've said. I don't think there's a single thing in this video that I said that was a stupid argument. But yeah, Mr. Fat Pepper, if you want to respond to this video, or you want to, you know, get on the Discord call or something, debate this topic or something, I would be willing to do that at some time. We can get on that. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please smash like, subscribe, follow on Kick, Rumble, all those socials, Twitter and everything. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.